Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. It is July 29th, 2022, and tonight we will be talking about GTA 6 and some of the details that come out about the upcoming Grand Theft Auto game. It's fantastic because we don't have to talk about GTA 5 anymore. Of course, we'll also be talking about some of the details revealed about the PlayStation VR2, and we'll also be talking about Roblox removing one of their most iconic sounds. And I'm sure you could probably tell exactly which one I'm talking about. That and more, of course, on this week's Weekly News Roundup. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th, 2020. Here to our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here, too. Figured this is kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and, of course, everything is all kinds of crazy. So this thing is a chonker. I mean,
yeah, it's a beast.
It's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPC's Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. And here we are, we're up, we're active, we're live. Kyle's computer decided to blue screen there, so we're just a couple minutes behind. But yes, of course, everybody, welcome to another NPC's Weekly News Roundup. Again, it is July 29th, 2022. We have survived 2 months of the summer, which means summer's almost done. That would explain why my wife is showing me so many different Halloween things that we need to go buy already and turn into standard home decor.
God.
Yeah, it's that bad. But anyway, of course, I'm Travis, and with me, as always, on Discord is Mr. Bright and Shining Face over there, Kyle, because he got a Steam Deck this week, didn't you, Kyle?
I did.
And, I mean, give us the TLDR. How's it going? What have you liked? What don't you like? What's going on?
It's fantastic. Like I was telling you earlier, yesterday and day before, just so many subtle nuances in the console that are just so cool, especially like in the packaging and whatnot. But beyond that, just the console itself, I've had very few issues with. I mean, you can tell I feel like they're still working out some of the stuff with the OS, because I've managed to slow it down, and granted, I've been trying to do some just crazy things with it already, but
right.
As far as playing games, it's amazing.
And it feels really comfortable, though, in the hand. Like,
Oh,
I got to play with somebody that has one at work, and man, I really expected that thing to feel like a Sega Game Gear. Like, I expected it to be as chunky and as weighty as like a Sega Game Gear, and I don't know. It feels much better to hold in my hands, my larger hands, compared to something like a Switch. So Valve did good.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
At least for right now. Who knows what'll happen down the line? Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Steam Deck 2, and then you got to go buy one of those next.
Oh, man. I so will, too.
Yeah, of course you will. Of course you will. But as long as it's treating you well, we'll have to do some more featuring on it, of course, here at some point in time as well.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. But in the meantime, of course, let's move on to our first story of the day, and it is our title story for the day, and that is Grand Theft Auto 6 details have leaked. Well, maybe not so much leaked as more so like, a thing of information came out from Bloomberg on this one. So in reporting from GameSpot, who was also reporting here on it with the information from Bloomberg, it says that GTA 6 is going to be featuring a female protagonist and takes place in and around Miami, which, as we all know, Miami in the Grand Theft Auto areas is Vice City. So we will finally be returning back to Vice City, and it looks like the character is going to be one of 2 leading characters in the game. So it's, and apparently the story, again, this is from the article here, the story is influenced by the infamous bank robbers Bonnie and Clyde. So whether or not that means that this is going to take place in more modern times and just have that Bonnie and Clyde style vibe to it when it comes to the crime sprees and the time period, I don't know. But I mean, at least we've got some information out about it, and I think the rumors were pretty much holding true that we were going to be returning to Vice City. I mean, what do you think about going back to Vice City there and potentially playing around in that field again?
I totally stoked. Vice City was actually one of my favorite locations, in all honesty. So, um, yeah, no, this will probably be my most willingness to jump back into Grand Theft Auto, because I mean I tried to play 4 and tried to play um 5, and I kind of got into 5, but
Yeah.
not really. So, I mean, I think the last one I really got into was Vice City.
I Vice City was my first one that I played. Then I circled back around to GTA 3, and then the one I fully 100% completed was San Andreas, and just kept going crazy with that one. But of course, I was a kid who just didn't really do everything by the book. So it's like, here, let's just unlock every weapon, and oh, I need a Harrier right now, so I'm gonna unlock the Harrier and go and fly around there and blow everything up instead of drive around all over the place. But yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm in the same vein with GTA 5 that I've played it. I like it. I haven't 100%ed it though, or even completed the story, but I get enough of it. But it's time for it to be off to the side now. It's been around 3 console generations, and it just hasn't stopped yet.
Right.
So it's going to feel good to go back. A couple of the details that they talk about here with some of the things that have come out is that apparently the vision that they had for Grand Theft Auto 6, they actually had to pare down or narrow down more specifically to the actual map and the environment. Is that it looked like they were working on something called a concept called Project Americas, which they were going to be actually adding in more than just one city to to their map itself. Which for Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, we did have 3 different cities and 2 different like little towns. Grand Theft Auto 5 had your one main city with Los Santos, and then a couple other towns and villages all around the rest of the island. This, on the other hand, was planning on expanding out to full-fledged cities, even at much grander scale than what we had seen with Grand Theft Auto 5. So you're talking about potentially like multiple Los Santos sized cities within like your just larger playable area, which,
Right.
to be quite honest, would definitely make things more interesting, while at the same time would definitely make that install size much more chaotic, especially after all the Fury and Fire people put out with uh, Modern Warfare and Warzone updates and how much space that took up. Imagine how big that install could get if they added in like 7 to 10 different cities that were all the same size and had the same AI and generation as Los Santos.
Well, and here's my take on it. I look at, the way Grand Theft Auto currently is, especially with like the online and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like this potentially still could be a thing. Like at some point, maybe someone in corporate was like, "Hey guys, we need to reel it back in. We could still ride this game out for another 10 years like we did 5." So, and
Yeah.
so I mean, potentially they could add all that content back in. Who- It'd be hard to say, but even then, they could do expansions where it's a standalone expansion and you only have to install that content in order to access it, or have the base content, and you don't have to have other chunks of the data available, so you can pare down your install a little bit.
And it seems like that's what they might be aiming to do with this one, is that they're not they're paring down the base game to be more specifically
Hmm.
a given area, which includes Vice City, but that they're going to be adding in more as time goes on too, like potentially more cities outside of just missions and DLC. Which, to be quite honest, the standalone GTA 5 experience didn't really have any of this DLC. Everything was really focused on GTA Online, which has been the moneymaker for Rockstar and Take Two in the GTA universe so far. Uh,
Right.
Even so, by adding in more of that and continuing to kind of grow out their the world and the city by adding more stuff in, maybe this will be one of those things we see where GTA, the standalone game and online, kind of maybe merge together. Instead of it being just you log into single player or then you have to choose the multiplayer online, it might just be all in one.
Oh man.
It would make for some crazy havoc, especially if you're in the midst of a mission or
Yeah.
something. But
I could see him doing it though. I mean, a lot of people buy or had bought GTA just to play the online portion. I mean, I I can't tell you how many used copies I've sold of GTA just because, you basically got automatic access to the online early on. Um, and then they ended up releasing the standalone, so it was, easier to just pay for the standalone for 10 or $20, depending on if it was on sale or whatever. But I mean, it making it an online game, they could still totally do that and just have a campaign where you could just run almost like it takes you into a different instance of the game, and
Mm-hmm.
it removes you from that multiplayer instance while you're in mission.
Yeah, so that way it's like you know, maybe you don't get like screwed over by other people in the game, but at the same time you have that bridge together, so at least it's easy enough to switch between the two instead of having to like log out and then log back in to get to GTA Online. You don't have to do any of this weird flip-flopping to make it work.
Right.
That would be pretty cool. Carrying on with some of the other information here, though, some of the key stuff, though, that was at least reported by Bloomberg, though, is that Rockstar is really reorganizing and redeveloping their thought process when it comes to how they handle the universe that they're effectively building within Grand Theft Auto 6, how they're building the world out. And a lot of that says that they are here's what GameSpot goes to say. It says the report does state that Rockstar developers are taking care to not punch down with jokes about marginalized groups, which would be a change from past games that poked fun at all manner of people. So I guess apparently there's been a lot of like internal changes at Rockstar to address some of the stigmas that Grand Theft Auto has introduced, and we all know that Grand Theft Auto really is a big kind of joke, at least as it references, American culture and American
Hmm.
stereotypes and such too, and American values, quote unquote, and how some different groups out there are presented, or how they are talked about or represented in games like this, though, too. So they're taking a different approach to it, and I think by at first, at least having a female protagonist as like one of the main characters, one of the playable characters, is going to help with some of that, but at the same time is going to really alter the dialogue that we're, I guess, used to having grown up with the Grand Theft Auto series. But that's probably not necessarily for the worse. That's probably for the better. That's probably going to end up making things at least much more truer. And I'm sure that there's still going to be plenty of jokes and plenty of niche things that do make it Grand Theft Auto. But
Oh yeah.
there are some times that, change is necessary, and stuff like that definitely needs it. So,
Yeah. Agreed.
yeah. So, as of right now, the only other thing that has come out so far is that it looks like a potential release window, and they're talking about potentially second quarter of 2024 is when we could see this game come out, like late first quarter, early second quarter of 2024. So that puts it between January through June there. So, I mean, really the first half. Or if you're looking at the late quarter one to early quarter two, you're talking about March, April of 2024. So once more of those details come out, I'm sure that as we get closer, we're getting to that timetable where we should be seeing some sort of trailer or more official information from Rockstar at some point in time. So once that comes up, obviously you'll hear about it from us in the news. And we carry on, of course, to the next story here. And this is by far an interesting one, and I'm glad that I jumped on it when I did then. So it has been reported that Oculus's parent company, Meta, formerly known, of course, as Facebook, they are going to be increasing the price of the Quest 2 VR headset by $100 on Monday, August 1st, which is literally 2 days from now. So if you are a person who has not jumped on the VR bandwagon and sees that there is value in something like the Quest 2, and you want to go make sure you get your money's worth on it, you may want to go make that investment now. So the price for the 128 gig model is going to go up to $399, while the 256 gig model will jump to $499. That's that's kind of a bit, I guess, there. For at least an entry level one. especially as like you look at the $499 version, the 256 gig. Um, that's still lower than some other like wired VR headsets out there, but you're only now maybe about $150 away from being able to buy something like the HP Reverb 2. So it kind of becomes one of those trade-off things there. I mean, what do you think about that, Kyle? I mean, is there any ulterior motives here you think that Meta has with upping the price on this? Do you think there's something else going on that,
I
is it just the
I
supply
personally
chain?
do,
Okay, what are you
because
thinking?
number one, this is like totally unprecedented. I feel like the Quest 2's been out for over a year now, right?
Yeah, it came out, I believe, early to mid last year. Let me see if I can find that release date. But carry on with what your thought is.
Yeah, I want to say it's been out for at least a year. You know, typically consoles don't see price hikes after a year. If anything, they start, sustaining a price, or their price levels out, or you start seeing dips in the price where they're going on sale. We've already seen sales on the Meta Quest 2, or whatever you want to call it now. But at, at this point, for them to raise the price with the announcement of PSVR2 just around the corner, I feel like this is a market manipulation scheme, personally. And maybe that's just me, like, you know, psyching myself out on it, but it feels like that they're raising the price now, so Sony has to raise the price of the VR2 when it releases, and then Quest will potentially, maybe a month or two after the PSVR2's been out, drop the price. Where, leaving Sony, locked in at this price, looking like fools essentially, even though that their hardware is going to be better.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if there was an ulterior motive like that because the VR space is getting interesting to say the least.
Mhm.
It still is one of those fields that is harder to enter, as a consumer because most options, at least up until the Quest line came out, were going to be costing you $600 to $700 and up. Um, and of course, as the quality's gotten better on things, those prices stay the same. So the Quest has kind of hit one of those very good spots to give you a VR experience without costing an arm and a leg. Granted, you are basically paying console prices for it as of Monday, really. Um,
But,
but
if you're gonna, I feel like at that point, if you're gonna be using it with a computer at all, and you're looking at a Quest 2, you might as well. And I hate to recommend this because I really dislike the company at this point, but you might as well go to GameStop and spend 600, and I think it's 650 or $699 to get a refurbished Index, because they
yeah,
have them on sale off and on for that,
yeah, and
for
that's
$600.
yeah, and if you have a PC capable of handling the support for VR, if you have a gaming rig or gaming laptop that is capable of doing it, that might be the one thing to do. But if you don't, this is going to be one of those things that is going to be there for you, and it's still at least an okay price when it comes to it. But again, being able to just spend an additional amount of money there to be able to go up to something that has the better resolution, um, maybe not necessarily the better controllers, but some of the other things built into it, at least especially, the reverb there is a good entry level VR headset, especially for wiring in. But it all varies from person to person anyway. But to see this type of ploy, though, at least for them to go and up prices, even with current supply chain constraints and the release of the PSVR 2, it just seems a little weird. And especially given, like, I mean, maybe it's because they did lose a whole bunch of money because of Apple's changes when it comes to advertising on iDevices and such. But, geez, I mean, it's just, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I think you
I
really hit the nail on the head with it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Is Meta or Facebook really hurting for money that much that they need to hike the price in a product that honestly the shelf life on these things, because VR has been moving so fast. Like the Quest 2, it's great. It's very top tier, but very soon I feel like it will be outdated, and it'll still be fairly usable and, plenty usable on many games, and it'll still have good quality, but it's going to be outdated because the way VR is moving and the speed that it's moving.
Yeah,
You
that's
look at VR from just like what, 4 years ago, and we were using our cell phones with Oculus.
yeah, we were.
And now, I mean, we have a full VR setup that doesn't even require a PC. All you do is connect it wirelessly to your Wi-Fi, hook up your Facebook account, and boom, you're good to play right there and then.
Yeah, and it's not to say that they're the only ones out there with the wireless side of it either. I mean, there are ways to hook up things like the HTC Vive Pro or oh, what else was there? There are some others that can handle some wireless capability, but they're just not fully built out to do that. So you do net that advantage with it. But again, some of the nuances with the Facebook accounts, which that's going away here soon, and of course now the price increase if you don't already have one. There's another thing though too, but it's up to each person on how to do it. I think though you hit the nail on the head though. I think that this is some sort of ploy though to potentially kind of go up against Sony in one form or another, but I guess we'll just have to see because we don't even have a price yet for the PSVR2. So, it's going to be tough to say what that's going to look like unless they got some inside information.
Yeah, and it scares me that they're trying to get Sony to potentially increase the cost of the VR2 artificially before its launch, um, with the anticipation that, you can get the Meta, and it's the same price, and maybe it's a comparable product because they had to raise the price of it. Who knows? It can cause confusion with a lot of consumers.
Yes, it can. It really can. Um, for those really looking to go and get a VR headset, I mean, the best thing is just to kind of look at what your situation is for VR. Look at what you want to be able to do, what you don't want to be able to do, and then go weigh it against some of those other headsets. I know at some point I'll probably go get something that is definitely more capable than my Quest 2. But right now, it's playing games on it. It's perfectly fine. It's definitely good, and it was definitely worth the money. But if you want to get it at the price I did, go get it now.
Yeah, I feel like the Quest 2 was, up until Monday, was the most affordable and best option for VR, and it offered the most as far as like versatility. And I feel like that step is wavering a little bit because of this price hike.
It's possible. I think though, because it is still one of the cheaper models out there, though, it's not going to be the end of the world. So I guess we'll see how things come up. Which, oh, by the way, on the question in regards to when it was released, October 13th, 2020. It's actually almost 2 years old now. I didn't realize that it was that we were
Wow.
that far in with it. But I mean, it's still very capable for what it does. But I mean,
2 years in, there's a lot of consoles that look at releasing a Gen 2 rather than a price hike. So at that point, they would be either, sustaining a price or looking at lowering it.
yeah, normally you'd see price go down, but maybe they'll announce a new headset soon and then they'll drop the price again on this one. Who knows what'll happen?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
In the meantime, let's move on to some other VR news, and that is about PlayStation VR2 nonetheless. On the 26th, Sony went and dropped details over on PlayStation blog about the user experience for the PSVR2, and they actually gave us a couple different images and some different details here. So I'm going to go in the details first, then we'll jump over into the images. So they talk about the see-through view or the passive view, which allows you to use the cameras on the front of the VR headset to be able to see objects around you when you're not playing a game. This is a feature of course, on the Quest and Quest 2. There is a feature on some other VR headsets that have the cameras built into them, though, too. But of course, the PlayStation VR2 is also going to have that. The bonus about it, and I'll bring it up here in picture shortly, is that the quality on it has definitely improved greatly. You know what? I'll switch over here to it now. Let me go ahead and bring up the screen here. Oh, yay. I'm glad that is where that's at there now. Whoa. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. When you first showed me those
There we
pictures,
go.
that you just sent me in Messenger, of this, I thought it was a studio render. I didn't know, because then I saw the video of of them actually doing it, and I was like, holy cow!
Yeah, no kidding. And like this is a video, or this is an image looking through that see-through mode, and the player here picking up the controllers. But the quality on this is definitely a step up from what I get in the Quest 2. I don't know what the resolution is on the external cameras. I don't think any of that detail has been shared yet, but the quality that's passing through here and even coming in the screenshot is pretty up there. Like, it helps to at least have some of those finer details. Maybe it's not 100% necessary for some of these things, but there are some other qualities of the VR cameras, though, besides just the pass-through, that I think net this higher quality camera set in them. So, and I'll get to that here in just a moment as well, too. We also get a little bit of a view here. Let me just flip back over to it again. A little bit of a view here of a little bit of the controls as well, too, at least to engage the pass-through view. And this is just one of the menus that popped up here in the Horizon VR game that's coming up too, where this looks like some sort of just settings menu where you can set your brightness, set your system screen, turn on the vibration of the headset, and then of course also set your play area too, which you have to define when playing VR games to make sure that you're in a space that you're not going to whack anybody or anything. So carrying on, of course, with the rest of the stuff here, and again, I'll come back to the other stuff on this blog here in a minute, though, too. Another feature, though, they're going to also be including is a broadcasting feature. So what that will allow you to do is that will allow you to stream content while you're playing the PSVR2, but will use the PlayStation camera, which I don't think you actually have to have for this, but I believe, or have for the VR system to work, but we'll need to do this feature here. It will allow you to basically broadcast yourself playing the VR game with, for people to see you in that, with the game actually showing up behind you. And that, of course, here looks like, like this here. I can't zoom in on the picture, but that'll give you at least another way to interact without having to do any sort of like goofy or crazy setups in OBS or any other sort of game streaming software, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, essentially it'll give you the ability to, if you've ever watched a video of someone play Beat Saber where they're actually in the game, I think that's, or down in the corner, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of like that. This is where one of those that you might be able to kind of like
I was
interpolate
kind of trying
yourself,
to relate it to that. Yeah,
you might be able to layer yourself on this in a way that, if Beat Saber comes out for PlayStation 5, which I've got to imagine it's going to release there
I'm
too.
sure it will.
That you might be able to go ahead and put yourself into that position just like some other streamers do without actually having to do all of that heavy lifting to make it work. Besides that, though, of course, again, this is one of those things I was talking about here with the cameras. Is that there is a function here for customized play areas. So I'll go ahead and I'll just play the video here and you guys can see this, is that the cameras themselves, when you're looking around an area, auto-detect the features of the room that you're actually playing in. So it will scan around the environment as you're looking around there and determine where objects actually are at. So if you're trying to set up a play area, while it doesn't actually show here that it's like, setting up some type of boundaries or anything, it is working to identify any large objects. So your larger flat area, but then any objects that are within it, so it can specify your play environment. What they talk about this here is they say the play area for PSVR2 can be customized by using the PSVR2 Sense controllers and the embedded cameras. The cameras will allow you to scan the room, while the PSVR2 Sense controllers allow you to expand and further customize the play area to fit your play style and room environment. And so what of that looks like, of course, is kind of like what we already see in the the Vive headset, the Index, and the Quest headsets. where you can actually draw out your boundary. And of course, once you reach out to your boundary, you're shown in game that you're starting to exit out of that area. You're shown your grid area though too.
It does look like your boundary floor will have the PlayStation face buttons
Yes.
on the bottom.
It will, and I thought that was a
That's
pretty
kinda
neat little
neat.
twist there. Yeah, I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
cool to include. So besides that, the other thing they talk about is just some of the content that you're actually going to be seeing in the headset when you're playing some of these VR games. So what they said, in VR mode, players can enjoy VR content in a 360 view in a virtual environment. Content will be displayed in 4000 by 2040 HDR video format, so that's 2000 by 2040 per eye, with 90 to 120 hertz frame rate. However, in cinematic mode, players can view the PS5 system and UI and all non-VR game and media content on a virtual cinema screen. Content in cinematic mode will be displayed in 1920 by 1080 HDR video format with 24 to 60 hertz and also 120 hertz frame rate. So what that means then is that while you're playing a VR game, any sort of it looks like when you're playing these games, when you go into cinematic mode, you're going to end up being downscaled anyway. So that means that you can throw on the PlayStation VR headset and play games through the headset that aren't VR titles. You know, you just play them on a virtual screen. However, you're going to be limited to 1920 by 1080. So that may not be all
That's
bad.
not terrible.
That may not all be bad. I guess it's going to depend on the person, though, too. I hope they release additional resolutions that it can support because, I mean, even going up to 2K, you know, inside that with the resolution on the displays in the headset, that doesn't seem that far-fetched anyway. So I'm sure that this is just the starting point, and the next phase will include that.
I think the only worry they may have with that is in the hardware upscaling. If you're watching or viewing older content, you know, I feel like 1080 is like a good baseline if you needed to upscale anything, or for that matter downscale.
Yeah.
But I could see like where they're trying to avoid like flickering issues and stuff by you know locking it into a specific format for that. Whereas the exact same thing in games, you know, you want the higher refresh rate anyway. But if you can sustain that higher refresh rate beyond a certain point, especially being that close to your eye,
Yeah.
it would really reduce flicker and really reduce eye strain on the player.
Yeah. And that might be one thing again that they do farther down the line. But I could actually imagine more like your PlayStation 5. Like I feel like your PlayStation 5 games should be able to at least get up there to 2K, but any of your older stuff limit to 1080p and below though, just so that way, yeah, you aren't having those potential system issues like with flickering or potential eye strain problems though too. But maybe the foveated rendering may help with some of that though as well.
True.
But yeah, even so, no other launch date, no prices, no other stuff like that, just some other feature things that they had shown off, which is pretty cool to see at least, you know, hey, we're not being left behind on information about it. And I still keep my fingers crossed that we will see it released and offer PC support sometime after release.
You know, and maybe touching back on the previous article, seeing some of this stuff, maybe Oculus does have something in the works coming down the pipeline that this headset's capable of that's not quite out yet. So
One can hope,
who
Kyle.
knows? Who
One
knows?
can hope.
But this looks awful sick to, you know, to try and compare the Oculus to this, you know, and they're just showing off some basic stuff, and it's already looking pretty sweet.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to see more about it and actually get my hands on one at some point too. So, you know, just to really give it a shot. So,
For sure.
That's not the only PlayStation news we actually have today. There's a lot going on with PlayStation anyway. Today is Backbone is going to be releasing, and this is in collaboration with Sony, will be releasing a version of their mobile controller that is PlayStation 5 branded and is built to support PlayStation Remote Play. So I could bring up the picture here from the article on Polygon to show people what this is going to look like, and it is a gorgeous looking attachment though for the
It's pretty slick.
for it. And to be honest, I mean, Backbone stuff has not looked, you know, anything bad either. It's just that there's something unique about the look of the PS5's DualSense controller And
Mhm.
for it to kind of be embodied here a bit into this mobile version, I really appreciate, kind of that extra level of detail. And then, of course, the collaboration and support from Sony as well, too, to get this put together.
See, and that front image, it kind of reminds me, and very loosely, might I add, of the Razer Jungle Cat, because I had one of those, but that one actually you had to have a phone case that it would slide onto, or you had a controller dock similar to like a Switch controller, or you could play it as two single controllers. But in typical Backbone fashion, this one is actually a single unit that actually stretches across the back of the phone, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's the case, yes. And then specifically, they are releasing this one for iPhone first.
Hmm.
And so it has a Lightning connection port on the bottom of it. So that way it will plug right into the Lightning port on your iPhone. But it also has a Lightning port on the controller itself, so that way you can at least plug it in and get power. And then also has a 3.5 headphone jack too. So you'll be able to plug in your headphones and play games. You'll be able to still charge the phone. You'll still be able to play all that stuff too. The great part is that it also works with any games that have controller support in them too. So not even just using it in PS Remote Play, but if you're more comfortable with the button layouts and that on or the feeling of the of PlayStation type controllers, then of course and you want to play stuff like Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact. Those are a couple examples listed in the article. Then this will work for it as well too. However, if you notice though, Kyle, if you take a look at the actual design of the controller itself, though, it's
Hmm.
not actually the only thing about it really that lines up with the Sony part of it, other than maybe the color, like being the white color it is, and then of course the face buttons. The problem is that the two analog sticks are separated, where it's not, because Sony has used on all their DualShock controllers and their DualSense controllers that the analog sticks are at the bottom. Your face button
Yep.
sort of at the top right, and then your D-pad is in the top left. Okay. This, on the other hand, has flipped it around so it's more laid out like an Xbox controller. Now, that kind of sort of defeats some of the things there, where it's like it is the, like kind of even what I just said. It kind of makes me feel like a hypocrite now for even saying it, but it's the fact though that now, if you're used to playing on PlayStation and you have to go to this, now you're having to flip around kind of where you're holding and manipulating things at versus what you were doing. So I guess maybe part of me would have kind of expected there to be more lining up with like with the DualSense controller than I guess maybe copy pasting over from the existing Xbox looking one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's exactly what they did is they took an Xbox style controller that they may have had and basically just changed the color scheme and face buttons and said, "Hey guys, look what we got. We got a PlayStation controller."
Yeah, like it says here, like someone on that article commented saying for a licensed device, you'd have to assume they'd try for symmetrical sticks. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's
Cuz
very
that's one thing
interesting.
that's always been a Sony thing. Ever since they came out with the DualShock controller on the early PSX, you know, big gray console towards the end of its life, or I guess it was more towards the middle of its life when they launched the DualShock, but or I don't even think it was a DualShock back then. It was just the analog controller.
Oh man. Well, maybe I'm a little annoyed on this now, but at the same time, maybe they just had to
Yeah.
license it to get the face buttons or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a stretch. Uh I I mean it looks slick. I don't think I'll buy one though, just because I mean I have my 8-bit due, and while these these types of like controllers are nice, typically when you buy something like a Backbone or a Razer Jungle Cat where it has to fit to the phone, it's only good for a generation or two. So you're only going to be using it for 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, and there's no way to swap out any of the parts or anything on it, so that way you can,
Right.
yeah, so that way you can get, it put into the right spot where it will work for future
So
handsets.
I don't know. Maybe I hate to be negative, or maybe I shouldn't be so negative. I guess,
Oh
because
no.
it does have that $99 price point. It just makes me go, "Ugh," that how many iPhones can you buy this and it works for? Is it, if you buy the next Max, is it going to be, you know 3 centimeters, or, God forbid, like 2 or 3 millimeters too small to fit over the one side? So you have to go buy a whole new backbone controller for, $100.
Yeah, imagine having to rotate controllers out every 2 years, especially if the other one still works well. Yeah, that is
Right.
frustrating. And even Serpent Knight here says, I've always felt the level thumbsticks on the DualShock make it more ideal for third person navigation than the Xbox arrangement. This changes things. And it does, especially on the remote play part,
Yes.
if you're one that's going to continue to play PlayStation games. And if you look at a side by side with this, with the existing one that they already have now, there's not really much different on it anyway, except of course changing out the color scheme and the face buttons, for the iconic PlayStation ones to, from ABXY. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to annoy some people, but I guess it's going to depend on how big that market actually is for doing that too. Maybe there's just some PlayStation fanboys who don't care and just like, I want the white one now that I can plug into my iPhone instead. Haha, stick it to them, Xbox players who have the monopoly on everything. Um, but let's go ahead and move on here. This is our last story, last main story, of course, for today before we get into the quest markers. And that is Roblox losing a prominent sound effect. And yeah, that is right. And the sound effect, of course, I'm talking about, yep, there it was. I'm going to play that again in case anybody didn't hear that because I got it here on this side. Yeah, that one there. That's what it kind of sounds like right now. The oof sound effect is gone. So apparently there was an update to Roblox that removed the oof sound. According to this article from Polygon, Kotaku provided some additional context on the copyright issues that led to the sound effect being pulled. Tommy Tallarico is the composer of the oof sound. Tallarico is a game composer and more recently the CEO of Intellivision. The oof sound comes from Messiah, which was made in 2002 and was licensed to Roblox. Anyone using it in their Roblox experiences would have to pay $1 or 100 Robux. Yeah, so apparently, it looks like it was all licensing related. But yes,
Wow.
the sound is now gone.
Huh. That's so strange. Over like a second sound.
I like this comment here on the article though too. It says, "I presume Tommy Tallarico ended the agreement so that it could become the oof official sound effect of the Amico." No wonder, man.
Yeah. When you turn on the imaginary system, that's the noise it's gonna make.
Yeah, that is perfectly going to be the noise that it makes. I yes, go turn it on and oh yeah, there we go, perfect.
Oof.
10 out of 10. Hey mom, I'm gonna go turn on
Yeah.
the Amico. Okay, just hear out from the living room there. God,
Yeah. Just
it's such a
oof.
it's such a stupid funny sound, but at the same time, it's like it's just funny to see that that's something that's being removed, and it is an iconic sound, especially because it's been adapted to so many other things too. Like I've seen the sound ripped out and used on TikToks. I've seen it used in YouTube videos that aren't even gaming related.
Mhm.
It is a very iconic sound, and the fact that whatever's happened here with this copyright stuff, the licensing stuff, I mean, there are a lot of people playing Roblox right now anyway, so it's like to license it and have $1, or cost $1 to have it. It doesn't say how much time you actually get it for with that $1, or if it's like a subscription to the oof sound. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is the way that Tommy Tallarico thinks he's going to save the Amico is by trying to make more money off of the oof sound. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I thought that was an
This is just such a weird one.
I thought that was an
Here's-
interesting one, at least to end with, though, on the main story part there, because we all know, I mean, we all appreciate our oof sound, don't we?
I guess. I mean, usually I'm the one that's bringing the weird stories to the table, but oof.
I really need to download this sound and just get a soundboard built up here, so that way as we're doing the news and that I can just press the button and go.
Oh man, we'd get just copyright struck.
Every time it's played, we owe Tommy Tallarico $1. So I'll make
Right.
little like marks on a notepad over here next to me that says, how much do we owe Tommy Tallarico for this live stream? $14. Got it. And then of course I'll and then okay, we're up to like $16 now. So even so, but with that, of course, that is the main story. So we move on to our favorite part here, wrapping up the news, of course, and that is the NPCs news quest markers with Kyle. So Kyle, take it away on what we got going. Oh my God, the Discord thing is all screwed up again. I gotta fix
again.
Kyle. I gotta fix him.
I can't wait to see it. I'm looking now.
Oh, it was
I'm
bad.
waiting for
I fixed it now. It's
the screen
better.
to just blow up.
Shut up. It's better now. It's fine. I took care of it. Are you ready to go, Kyle?
I think I'm ready to go.
All right. What do we got?
So, Steam now officially supports Switch Retro controllers. So your NES, SNES, N64, and Sega Mega Drive controllers will all work with Steam in case you want to play some crazy Dark Souls runs with an N64 controller potentially, or if you're jonesing to play some of those Sega Classic collections with a actual Sega controller. This may be your opportunity. Other than that, I want to say, has the patch gone live? Yep, the patch has already been added, so support is live for those right now.
Yay!
Yay. Continuing on, Microsoft is speeding up Xbox boot times to be more comparable to be with the PlayStation 5 and Switch. So no more
Yay.
needing to turn on your console and then go get your water. I did they actually say in the article? I want to say it's about 3 to 5 seconds faster. Is what I've noticed on all the videos. But they said Microsoft's changes will make the boot up in energy saving mode take the Xbox Series X and S boot process from around 20 seconds down to 15 seconds. So, I mean, you're taking a quarter out of the time.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's that much quicker to get to your games, and it's noticeable when you put it up against a PlayStation 5. So awesome, Xbox, for finally fixing that issue, I guess. I didn't really see it as an issue, but whatever. It's better than the green screen boot, so there's that.
Oh boy.
And then for our last quest marker of the day, Sims 4 update had accidentally added incest. Earlier this week, The Sims 4 received a big free update that added curved walls, body hair, and new wants and fears. But accidentally, some of those wants may be for your cousin.
Oh no.
Yeah. As spotted by PC Gamer and Reddit, Sims 4 players are reported that after playing the game on July's 26th update, some in-game characters are looking to date family members.
Oh,
God.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, ain't that just a fantastic thing then?
Yeah, thankfully EA is aware of the bug, and I want to say as of, I believe it was Wednesday, actually was working on getting it fixed. So I want to say it should be fixed already or early by next week. So no more dating your sister.
Sims 4 Alabama edition.
Yeah, no joke.
Well, with that, of course, that is then it for the Weekly News Roundup. So that was fun. That was crazy. And of course, as always, now this is our new sound. We're going to include that oof sound and everything now. But with that, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this week's News Roundup. Of course, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube. Be sure to follow our podcast over at anchor.fm/the-NPCs-podcast, where we try to publish a new episode every Thursday. And of course, the episode here for the news goes up live soon after this stream is finished. So with that, of course, be sure to go subscribe. Be sure to follow us on social media as well, too. Be sure to follow us here on YouTube, everywhere else that we're at as well. With that, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you all in the next one.
Later.
Right.